I know who everybody in Gainesville wants. We'll just say that right now. Everybody in Gainesville wants Lane Kiffin. The people in Gainesville think Lane Kiffin is going to get the job. I imagine Florida will offer the job to Lane Kiffin. I have no idea if Lane Kiffin will take the job because Lane Kiffin is coaching a team that is in the mix of the playoff hunt right now.
Yeah. And that, I mean, like, also timeline. Like, when do you think Florida would want to have this done in a perfect?
Well, there's a season going on, so after that.
No, I understand that. I'm an idiot. I didn't mean like next week. But, like, do you think that they could do it after the regular season while other coaches are in the playoff? Or if they're in the playoff, they're just completely out of the discussion point?
I don't know. And that's the thing. All of this is new because the transfer portal rules have changed. The portal doesn't open until January 2nd now. So you could wait. And if you've got a target who's in the playoff and you think they're going to lose in round one, you could still have that coach in the office working for 10 days or 11 days before the transfer portal opens.
Right.
So I don't think you have to have it done on Thanksgiving weekend to get it done. So it does free up. And look, this is not just a Florida discussion. This is a Penn State discussion.
Right.
We'll see what other jobs open. We don't know if Auburn's going to open. We don't know if Florida State's going to open, which is another conversation entirely. But it's going to be an interesting one. And obviously there are other names, and we'll talk about other names that might want the job. Eli Drinkwitz, I think, would love to have the job. He's at Missouri now. He's also in the thick of a playoff race. Also, Jeff Brom at Louisville is somebody I think that they might be interested in talking to. I think if you are a responsible athletic director, whether you're Pat Kraft at Penn State or Scott Strickland at Florida, you need to call Marcus Freeman and make him tell you no. Which I think he will. I think he will tell you no, but you call him anyway and you ask because that's the guy almost anybody would want. But Lane Kiffin is the one that I think Florida fans would want. Look, all Florida fans want is a spiritual successor to Steve Spurrier. They want a coach who wears a visor, scores points, and talks shit. Now, I realize I am also talking about Eli Drinkwitz there, but Kiffin is the one that they've identified as their holy grail. Will McLean in the chat asked this question. Who's Lagway playing for next year? And I have a little intel on this. DJ Lagway is willing to wait and find out who Florida's bringing in. I can tell you right now, DJ Lagway would play for Lane Kiffin. He would love to play for Lane Kiffin.
Can I ask a semi-offensive question?
Sure.
Has he played well enough for that to even be a thing?
Well, that would be the question. I mean, because if you hire Lane Kiffin or you hire Eli Drinkwitz or you hire, any of these names that we're mentioning, they're going to decide what quarterback they want to play for them. They're going to have their pick. They might bring somebody. So you understand that that's part of the drill, that when you hire this coach, that person is going to decide this stuff. And so they may or may not decide they want DJ Lagway as their quarterback. Like, it's not going to be Scott Strickland goes and talks to these coaches and says, you have to keep DJ Lagway. They don't care. They want to win football games. So they're going to hire somebody who they think will win them games. I know I just did it, Ari. I know I just called them football games.
Mm-hmm. I'm not, but I don't interrupt you. I'm a nice guy.
I appreciate that. They do not care. They don't care. Now, I think the better parts of this roster, the younger players on this roster, if you make the right hire, you're keeping them. Dallas Wilson. Jaden Ball, by the way, the running back at Florida, will be the hottest guy in the portal.
That's an NFL running back.
Yeah, he'll be the hottest running back in the portal if he goes in the portal. So Florida will try to keep him. So whoever gets hired, he's one I can just say, like, because the quarterback's a little bit different. That's everybody wants their own flavor of quarterback. Every coach in his right mind wants Jaden Ball. Every coach in his right mind wants Dallas Wilson. Every coach in his right mind wants Miles Graham, the linebacker. Every coach in his right mind wants Vernell Brown III, the other freshman receiver who's very good. Like, every coach in America wants a player like those guys. So they will do, whoever gets hired will do whatever they can to keep them.
Andy, if you, I'm going to open myself up to potential ridicule because I'm not I just not very good at like remembering things like you without like researching it. But what coaching change that's successful right now ever predicated on the roster talent that existed before the previous coach was fired? Like
Kirby Smart taking over for Mark Richt.
I mean, in the
He went to the
NIL
national
era,
championship. Oh,
where
well,
players could just like
nothing. And that's no, it's not a stupid question at all. It's I'm glad you asked that because it's kind of an audience surrogate type question because you know the answer to it, Ari. You know exactly what's going on here. You know that it doesn't matter. Like when fans worry about, oh no, the whole roster is going to leave. Who cares? Like when Tom Allen got fired at Indiana, who cared who left? Kurt Signetti brought the people who mattered.
And like, listen, Florida's a little bit different because the players that you just outlined is all the coaches in their right mind will want them are kind of young, you know, so they have like, you know, those are like,
you notice I didn't mention any offensive linemen. Now they've got some edge rushers like Cam James, LJ McCray, who's hurt right now. They've got a few good edge rushers that are young that I think they would love to keep if they can. But like Caleb Banks, the defensive tackle, he's going to the NFL. Jake Slaughter, the center, he's going to the NFL. So they are going to have to, whoever comes in is going to have to really do some work on the roster.
You always say, which is unequivocally true. And like, you know, me, I'm more romantic about holding on to and developing 5-star quarterbacks than you are. But you always used to yell into the microphone, there's always another quarterback. And like you look around this year and it's like, okay, well, the way that DJ Lagway's playing, I don't know that this means that I think he won't ever be a great player. I still think that he could be. But are you telling me that whoever you coach or bring in as the new coach, if it's the right guy, can't go get Fernando Mendoza, can't go get Trinidad Chambliss, can't go get somebody to play at a high level? It's not like DJ Lagway leaves Gainesville.
The guy they want developed Austin Simmons, and then Austin Simmons got hurt, and he put in the D2 transfer Trinidad Chambliss,
who is now appearing on Heisman lists.
Exactly. Lori in the chat says, why would Lane want to go to Florida? Just more money? He seems to be enjoying himself. Lori, it wouldn't be more money. Florida and Ole Miss can pay exactly the same.
Well, that's if he goes part about this whole thing.
If he goes, it's because he thinks the ceiling's higher. If he doesn't go, it's because the ceiling's not really higher. Like that's really all there is to it.
And we kind of talked about this, but like, what makes Lane Kiffin think the ceiling is higher based other than like what used to be the ceiling? Like that's the thing that's so interesting. You can't get paid more. You've got it rolling pretty good at Ole Miss. Do you think that you could get better players to go to Florida that you can't get to Ole Miss? Is it being closer to high school players? Like, I don't know. But like, I don't know if it's an unequivocal fact that Florida has a higher ceiling than Ole Miss anymore. It was an unequivocal fact in 2020. I don't know if that's the case right now. And that's the other thing. You know, Lane Kiffin is the apple of Florida's eye, and rightfully so. I mean, the guy is like, it feels like he is blossoming into like his peak self. You know, I know they lost on Saturday to Georgia, but like the posting of the hot yoga picture with his shirt off, glistening in with the six pack, and the thing that he did during the game where he was calling timeout and then told the ref, you know, hey, I was just clapping, like all those different things that he's doing. Like, I understand the appeal of him, but I am so interested in this specific fact, Andy. And maybe this will be true for whoever Florida hires because there's not a lot of options out there. But the guy that Florida is going to, attempt to attach their future to has 0 college football playoff appearances in his coaching tenure.
It's true.
And again, a large portion of that was because it was pre-NIL Ole Miss and it was more difficult. But like the savior of everyone's program, go get Lane Kiffin, because Florida's not alone in this. If Florida State fires their coach, they'll want Lane Kiffin. If
Penn State is open, Auburn might open.
Everybody wants Lane Kiffin. And it's like, I understand the appeal. I certainly do. I think that he has grown tremendously. But I also feel like this idea that he is a slam dunk, can't miss national championship level coach, when the majority of his coaching tenure has not equated to that, is still kind of and it's not like he's like a first-year coach. He's been coaching for a long time at multiple different places in different areas of the country. He's been in the SEC, and granted, I know that Lane Kiffin today is not Tennessee Lane Kiffin, and far from it. Like, I'm not trying to make that a comparison. But when you look at
then who would you rather have if you're Florida?
I don't know if it's a who I would rather have. I think it is.
It doesn't. Okay, the job's open. You're Scott Strickland. You have to hire a human being to coach the team. Who are you hiring?
I guess who would I rather have? In like being put on the spot. Maybe nobody. Okay,
nobody you rather have over Lane Kiffin
right
okay,
now.
All right, gotcha.
the thing that I think is entirely possible is that somebody who isn't going to be mentioned on this list right now will get hired by somebody else who will turn out to be the next Kirby Smart. And like, you're missing out on that because you're going after the person that is the sexiest name at the moment.
I do think limiting it to sitting power 4 head coaches, which is probably what they will limit it to, does limit you, because who are the best coaches in college football right now?
Overall,
let's name them. Let's name the best coaches in college football.
Kirby Smart.
Okay, he was the Alabama defensive coordinator. Who else?
Ryan Day.
He was the Ohio State offensive coordinator. Who else?
I actually think I would put maybe Eli in there.
Eli Drinkwitz. Okay, was the Appalachian State head coach. That was Group of 5 head coach.
Yeah, I'm trying to
Kalen
think.
DeBoer. Kalen DeBoer was the
DeBoer.
Washington head coach before this job. Was the Fresno State head coach before the Washington
Dan Lanning
job.
would be in that list.
Dan Lanning was the Georgia defensive coordinator. Do you see where I'm going with this?
Yeah, I do see where you're going with it, but I actually want to keep playing the game because I want to know where you would go after this. Like,
go for it.
Who else? Like when you that's the amazing thing about this. Like, was like in the past, you would have a head coaching vacancy and there'd be like 27 names higher than or 27 sexy names out there that you could go higher. And it's like when you're thinking about the best coaches in college football, I just Googled it. Kirby Smart, Ryan Day. Dabo Sweeney was not a hireable coach right now, considering the way things are going.
He was the Clemson wide receivers coach before he got the job. So continue.
Here are the ones that come up. Brian Kelly, he might get fired.
Okay.
Matt Campbell, very interesting. Like
was the Toledo head coach before this job.
Yeah.
Yep.
Kirk Ferentz.
Okay. Need to discuss that one.
That's what you said. Okay. Brett Bielema, Josh Heupel, Jeff Brom, Kurt Signetti, Chris Kleiman. Kyle Whittingham.
Yeah. Yeah. None of those.
Sarkisian.
Yeah. Yep. And he was the Alabama offensive coordinator. Now he'd been the USC head coach and the Washington head coach before that.
I'm looking at the ESPN list, and like 3 of the top 10 are like either going to get fired or could be fired.
Yeah. Well, the coach rankings are a tough business, as we've learned. So like the people I'm talking about, like Will Stein in Oregon, the offensive coordinator. I think Will Stein is going to be a really good head coach. I could be wrong on this, but he exhibits the traits that you saw from Dan Lanning when he was a coordinator, that you saw from Kirby Smart when he was a coordinator, that you saw from Ryan Day when he was a coordinator. And so you feel like that's going to be a hit. Whoever hires him, it's going to be a hit. And I can tell you right now, there's a really good chance that Will Stein is a power conference head coach next season because there are going to be so many jobs open. He's going to get one of them. He's one of those guys that if you interview him, you automatically make him a finalist because you'll very much love him.
And that's the thing. Like if you were the czar of Florida football right now, would you take Lane Kiffin or would you take a shot at Will Stein? What do you think is a more prudent hire?
To them both. That's why I'm saying I would not limit my search.
And I think
our 4 head coaches.
And I think that's the point I was trying to make, which is Lane Kiffin is the layup.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there's probably a lot of hay to be made in taking a lot. Like that's the benefit of firing your coach on October 19th.
Mm-hmm.
You have at least some time to do a deeper, more well thought out search. I mean, like, hell, this might work at Alabama, but they hired Kalen DeBoer in 48 hours after Nick Saban retired. That still blows my mind.
Remember who the other person they were considering
was.
Mike Norvell.
Very, very much so, especially today.
Yeah. Vance in the chat asked North Carolina if they would prefer a deep search over hiring a huge name. Well, yeah, Vance, because North Carolina's athletic director, Bubba Cunningham, he had reached out to Matt Campbell. Now, Matt Campbell wasn't interested in the job, but John Sumrall was. And John Sumrall would have North Carolina competitive right now if he were their coach right now.
Right. So anyway, interesting dynamic. I know I saw some pushback, Andy, in the chat about me specifically saying that I'm not 100% sure that Florida is a better higher ceiling job than Ole Miss. So help me out here. If Lane Kiffin were to take the Florida job outside of preconceived notions that exist in 2015, what does Florida offer Lane that Ole Miss can't? Is it palm
It's in Florida?
Yeah. Okay.
It's in Florida. Listen, I say that as someone who are there palm trees? There's palm trees in my backyard, dude. you saw them this week. Like Yeah, no, I say this as someone who lives here. I'm not going to pretend that it's a paradise that everybody in the world wants to move to. That's not true. But it is in Florida, and if he's always wanted to coach in Florida, this is, and he did coach in Florida Atlantic. But if he's always wanted to coach one of the big three in Florida, which a lot of coaches would like to do or have been, desirous of doing, then yeah, this is also a person. It cannot be discounted, by the way, how many coaches idolize Steve Spurrier. Lane Kiffin's one of them. Kirby Smart's one of them. A lot of coaches a lot of coaches of this generation, so that the ones that are in their late 40s and early 50s now, grew up wanting to be Steve Spurrier. So now you have a chance to go be Steve Spurrier in the building where Steve Spurrier works still and has a statue out front, and the field is named after.
You are kind of making the point that I'm making, though, because
it's a past. I know.
No, it's not the past. It's just like the things that you think are sales pitches to Lane Kiffin are specifically detailed to somebody who wants to live in the state of Florida. I'm talking about program wide. What does
Lane? But that person is Lane Kiffin.
Yeah.
If it was somebody else who didn't want to live in the state, if it's Matt Campbell, who doesn't give a crap about living in the state of Florida, that's not the pitch.
Yeah. Right. Well, so pretend like it's me. I'm the next head coach of Florida. I coach at Ole Miss right now. I'm from Scottsdale, Arizona. Tell me what you can do for me that Ole Miss can't.
You are going to be closer to more players, and I get this. No, you're going to push back on this because it doesn't matter now because you can just pay them. Like, I can't make this argument, Ari.
But I do think that there is. But no, I'm not going to push too hard back on that because I do think that proximity to talent. Like, listen, I don't care how much you.
Because I'm the one who says it. It's my alma mater, and I live here, and I like living here. But I also think you can win the national title at Ole Miss.
Yeah, it's not that Florida. 10 years ago, Florida, you could win a national title. At Ole Miss, you couldn't. Now Ole Miss leveled up. It's not like Florida went wrong. I think the whole sport leveled up. I mean, hell, what if Indiana wins the national title this year?
Right?
Like, doesn't that completely throw every single big job that we've preconceived as huge jobs into a blender? I mean, like, Vandy is in a position to win the SEC this year. So, but I do think this, I want to put this on record, that at least being closer to the players in the state is still probably a 20% more likely to get that player. Like, even if you pay a player a lot of money, they still care about, representing their home. They still care about playing close and being close to their families, like being in the proximity to all those good players. And also Gainesville is every bit as close to Atlanta, right? As Ole Miss. I mean, maybe a little bit further away.
It's a lot closer to Atlanta.
It's a lot closer to Atlanta.
Gainesville's a 5-hour drive from Atlanta.
How far is Ole Miss from Atlanta? Isn't it like 6-7 hours? Is it
much further? I think it would be considerably more than that.
Okay.
Might be like 8.
Join our show on Monday as Andy continues to teach me geography in the South. But
Sailor Joe, I'm going to read this one, then I'm not making fun of you, Sailor Joe. I just want you guys to understand something. So Sailor Joe says, Gus Malzahn, he's been an SEC head coach before. He's down the road. He out-schemed Alabama week 1. Is that enough? Truly, who's your top prediction? My top prediction is Lane Kiffin. Yeah. I'm telling you that's who they're going to go after. I don't know if he's going to take it, but that's who they're going after. No, Gus Malzahn would not be on the list. Gus Malzahn was going to get fired at UCF, and he bailed them out by leaving for the Florida State OC job, which he's not doing very well at right now. Like,
they lost the
Florida State staff. Yeah, the Florida State staff may be getting fired here soon. So, no. Don't just go with the name. I spent 5 years with everybody asking me, how come Les Miles isn't getting a job? Because Les Miles couldn't coach anymore. And then they hired him at Kansas, and they found out, guess what? He can't coach anymore.
And just like hear it here, too, for the first time, or the only time you hear, Urban Meyer is in that category as well. So you can drop that whole routine, too, because that's going to be a name that pops up at he's not going to be coaching, I don't think, this year. Nor do I think he's equipped to. So, yeah, I think that we need to stop clinging to the past and the regular, success stories that we remember from our past and start to envision the future, because I think that, like, North Carolina is getting a nice little lesson on what clinging to the past looks like. I think Kansas did when they got Les Miles. I mean, other retread hires like Arizona didn't do great with Sumlin. Like people who just like go at like Herm Edwards at Arizona State, like all these like names that were sexy or interesting when they get hired at their college places end up like ending in complete dumpster fires. And I think that like, in the NIL era, you just need to get a coach who knows how to eye talent, a person that knows how to coordinate and spend the right amount of money on the right players, and maybe a coach that can bring some guys with them.
Right.